Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave and a bit of a later start on this lovely Sunday as I was treated to a very excellent weekend from my girlfriend. It was absolutely awesome. We got to stay at a nice little staycation at a beautiful hotel and eat the most heavenly meal that I've had in a very long time. Reindeer blood sausage is absolutely fucking amazing. And sauna as well. Yeah, it was great, but I get to do that every damn day. And of course, with a good meal, it's even better. Anyways, with that said, I want to wish you the best and happy just because why not? And we got plenty to talk about today. I'm actually going to do two different videos. This video is going to be a more Bitcoin focused one with long-term analysis implied. And then, of course, we'll go over maybe like a very short analysis on Ethereum later. Anyways, with that said, I do want to now put the focus on the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.currency.net. And by the way, if your app does not look like what you see on the screen right now, make sure that you do what's called a hard refresh by clicking or holding down Shift, Control, and R at the same time, and that'll do it for you. And then it should look exactly like this. Anyways, I should notify you that we have the Krown newsletter actually, which is 100% free. You can grab the newest edition right here. Really good stuff by my man Mr. Roger, and I strongly suggest that you check it out. It's going to give a good overview of the market in newsletter format, and we'll be hosting that onwards and forwards. Anyways, on top of that, we also have a nice little sale going on as well. It was my birthday. Again, massive thank you for all the well wishes during that time, and I'll just briefly go over it right now. Again, whenever we're talking about any one of the programs here, please make sure before ever getting into any one of these programs, especially these two right here, the TA and the options program, that you watch the promotional videos that come along with them. They're going to explain who they're for and who they're not for, so you can make a good decision for yourself, whether it's like, relevant to you or not, because we don't want anyone to get into these who's like, not actually going to benefit from it. Anyways, with that said, just a quick little primer. If you're on the fence, that's usually a good sign. It's probably not a good fit. And also understand that, it's going to realistically take a long time and a lot of effort on your own behalf. Typically about a year to a year and a half is what I do see on average, kind of people to get to where they want to go. And that's, with putting a lot of consistent effort in at the same time as well. It's not a magic pill, just to put it bluntly. Anyways, with that said, let's get into the market data tab over here and let's see what we got going on right now. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my own hat. I absolutely love this thing. I wear the ever-loving shit of it as I do my my Bear Jesus sweatshirt, which is amazing. Anyways, what do we see over here? Global fund rate continues to trend to the upside, although we did see it actually halve from a couple days ago to what we're looking at right now. Actually, that's just like weekend lowliness. And on top of that, we do see that open interest did spike up quite a fair significant amount right here, actually all the way up to about 11.5 billion, that is, and continuing on with the over uptrend. So this price action is supported even over the weekend, while we have seen a bit of a Saturday pullback, which we did say was, hey, look, if we do see a bit of a Saturday pullback, it's probably going to be a bit of an opportunity first and foremost. Well, that should be aligned with the open interest chart, and I would say that was, well, indeed an opportunity, which we'll get into soon enough. Other than that, the Bitcoin exchange's reserves is actually massively downtrending right here as well, which is good if you do want to be bullish, I suppose, which I imagine most people do, just because it's easier. It's easier to trade in a bull market. Hey, I'm not above admitting it. I've been trading for more than 10 years now, and easier markets more fun, or just easier. A bear market's more fun, I would say. But well, at some point, I suppose we'll get that, but not necessarily right now. Or at least that's not what I'm thinking of. And if you want my long-term analysis, definitely check out the long-term analysis video where I title it "The Low Is In." A bit of a clickbait title, but the information is all there for my reasoning for that, and then you can make the decision for yourself. Always as it should be. Anyways, with that said, I think it's time to get in the price action charts. We have plenty to discuss. Let's start off with the short-term timeframes right here and then get into the fun long-term stuff, of which I'll talk about. I'll talk about some stuff that, I don't even know if I'm comfortable talking about right now. But hey, why not? We can join the party, I suppose, for a second. All right, so Bitcoin, we did say yesterday, if we were going to see a pullback somewhere down around the low $49,000 territories, where we'd be looking for. And the only sort of short-term, medium-term warning signal that I'd be looking for is anywhere below about 48.5. Obviously, that did not happen. We get a nice little spike down here around the 618 Fibonacci retracement, and lovely, perfect little retest on it. And there is your next higher low right alongside the yellow 20-month exponential average. And this is also going to be combined with potential hidden bullish divergence that will be confirmed in 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 54 seconds if we do close basically anywhere above about $50,000 on this next 4-hour dildo. With that said, if that does confirm, I would look for another spike up around 51 to maybe even 51,500-ish region, somewhere in this blue box territory right here. And then very likely Bitcoin does set up for a continuation move. Personally speaking, I think that this probably happens early into Monday, at least for myself on the Eastern Hemisphere of this world. With that said, BBWP is absolutely on the floor. So again, another good indication that little pullback that we did see overnight from Saturday to right now was essentially an opportunity first and foremost, and now we can once again move up. It's like that Bernie Sanders meme, like once again we can move up the goddamn higher low to the next one. This is of course only relevant for the short-term timeframes, but I would say that it is now right here at about 49,500 on a 4-hour closing basis. If you do want the more medium-term area, it'd still be about 48.5 is a big warning signal anywhere below there. And then, of course, daily reversal, where I'd actually get bearish, looking for big moves to the downside, and more importantly, trading towards the downside, would still be about 47,000 bucks right here. Anywhere below there, very, very bad. Well, at least for the Bulas, and very good for the bears. But for right now, it does look more or less like a Bula-ish setup. Anyways, with that said, let's go check out momentum oscillators and what they're doing right now. And what do you know? Bitcoin actually on the 2-day, which I believe closed last night. No, it closes tonight, and it will confirm another cross the upside and bouncing off of the critical zone, which is a really, really strong signal. With any sort of a closure today above 49,150, daily is already leading into that, and more importantly, rejecting getting out of the out of the bullish control zone. In this case, 48.5 going to be the magical number right there, aligning with the medium-term timeframes. Red flag pivot is kind of what I'd be relating that as. By the way, this is actually not BBWP. This is HVP right here. Very, 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 very low, just so you know. So if we do see, of course, momentum, which we already have, and trend, which we already have, and volatility start to move in the same direction, that would be my long-term continuous signal on this asset. And realistically, the target isn't going to be to like 51,500. That would only be a short-term time frame target. What I really be looking for is sometime in September, maybe early October, for Bitcoin to really find its way somewhere around about 56 to 58,000 bucks, in line with our Fibonacci extension right here at the 414 to the 618 extension. Sorry, the 2-spot 414 and the 2-spot 618 Fibonacci extension right there. Also your May breakdown levels from a few months ago, or I guess like 4 or 5 months ago right here. And if we do throw on the volume profile, I would be looking at about the same area I suspect as well. Let's see. Oh yes, what do you know? The point of control on this, on this visual right here is right at 58,000 bucks. Beautiful. And as you can see, we're kind of at the last of the high value nodes for this current consolidation right here. So another closure above, especially like 51,000 bucks, even on a 4-hour, is going to look really, really good for a short-term move up to about 53, 54, and then very likely continuation throughout the rest of this month, somewhere around about 58,000 bucks. And personally speaking, I do think that is what does happen. Again, that always comes within an invalidation point. The short term would be 49.5 is going to be the big going for 4-hour timeframes and lower. And then of course below 47,000 bucks on a daily would look very, very bad as well for the Bulas. But for right now, Bulas got a lot of things going for them, a lot of things in their on their side of the court. And let's go to the medium term timeframes here as well and see what we got going on. What do we see on the 12-hour? Oh, is that a 12-hour? No, it is not a bullish engulfing actually. I think that was only present on Ethereum. Anyways, 12-hour RSI consolidating right around the bullish control zone. Typically a good signal, by the way, above the exponential here right here as well. And again, we are seeing, as you would expect, volatility on the 12-hour time frame to be leading up as well. And so that can obviously spill on over into the daily, which is still dormant on the ground right here. But if we start to see daily expand, which is probably fucking likely right now, alongside momentum oscillators, which, hey, we have hidden bullish evidence right here, and getting back to the bullish control zone on daily RSI, we already denoted that daily Stokes over here are nice and healthily up as well. Then I would be looking for a volatility expansion to confirm the next sort of mega move to the upside, probably around Bitcoin's prior all-time high. That probably sets it up for a move towards new all-time highs. By the way, we also got a fresh jewel signal. I think it was a couple days ago. No, it was on the 3rd of September, actually. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th now. So that is looking good. So we got trend, volatility, and momentum. If you want to keep it as simple as possible, that's all it needs to be. Anyways, I'm going to take a sip of this water, and then we'll get into the fun stuff for the more long-term. And let's just do it. Oh, actually... Before we do that, I should show my testnet account over here, because why not? Actually did add another leg. I basically bought the $60,000 call strike. Let me get rid of my face here, my stupid rat face, so you can see my positions. So there we go. Still holding my $33,000 long right here. I'm working on about a 1.7 Bitcoin profit. Not bad. You've been seeing us sort of kind of trade around that with options, essentially. On some of those more long form consolidations, I was doing a lot of covered calls and whatnot, just kind of pulling some profits. And now I've let it loose yet again. Anyways, on top of that, as you can see over here, I am short 5 lot of the $100,000 call strikes, short the $17,000 put strike, short the $200,000 call strike 20 times, short the $24,000 put strike 25 times, long the $36,000 calls 10 times. So I own the $36,000 call strikes, expiring in September, by the way. And then I sold the $80,000 call strike against that 15 times, expiring this month as well. So hopefully we don't go above 80,000 bucks this month. If we do, I will need to maybe add a little bit. I think I am still long deltas here. Oh yes, I'm definitely long deltas because I just bought about 30 calls in December, 25 delta long, so actually pretty good. I'm actually very, very happy with that as of right now. Anyways, we can go see my December expiration, which is what I added to a bit, and you can see right here that I am short the $16,000 put strike, but more importantly, I am long I'm long the $60,000 call strike right here 30 times, and then what I did is I hey, wait a second. Yes, I'm long that one, and I believe am I short this one? Hold on, where is it? No, I'm actually long this one as well. Hey, what the fuck? I need to get short something. Hold on. Wait a second. We don't have enough strikes over here for me to trade this one off. I want like the $100,000 call strike. Maybe we can do like Marches or something. 200,000 in March. Anyone? Maybe I wait for this one a little bit. Should be easy enough to trade around anyways. And of course, I am short big enough on the $80,000 call strike over here. And of course, the 100 and 200 in September. So, but I'll just probably end up rolling that over to November and then December over time and manage it that way. But for right now, I'm quite happy to be holding those. And let's get into, actually, I forgot to go over short-term time frame momentum oscillators right here. 4 hour, what are we looking like? We will see 4 hour Stokes flip back around to the upside with any sort of a closure above 50,300. So I would feel somewhat comfortable saying on the short-term time frames, if we do see Bitcoin close above 50,300 on a 4 hour, probably would be looking for that to spill on over into then the 12 hour and the daily, which are pretty much already there. Actually, we didn't go over the 12 hour as well. Let me just double check. We'll flip back up with any sort of a closure above 50,170, of which we're $50 above right now with a few hours left to go. So, you know, you can see how those can kind of bleed into each other. And then obviously this is really a setup for the week to come. We had a great close for CME on Friday, and that did close 50,700. So I suppose we probably hang around somewhere around there until open and then see the actual market early this week. Okay, cool. Time for some long-term stuff. Let's do it. We're only 11 minutes into this bitch, so we got plenty of time. All right. All right, so, okay. All right. I need to be careful with the way that I say it. Okay, first, I want to preface this whole conversation saying, hey, I'm going to talk about something that, look, when we're talking about very long-term analysis, it's very interesting, it's very fun, but it's not, in my opinion, or at least for my sort of style, actionable. I'm a more short-term trader for what it's worth. And when we're talking about something like this, it's more for like YouTube headlines and shit like that. Understand that what I'm about to talk about right now, I would not stand by myself, or it's not that I wouldn't stand by it myself. I will certainly take the glory if it happens. No, just kidding. What I'm trying to say is that I would not trade like this. So this is all just more or less speculation, as is everything. But I wouldn't stand by this too much, and I don't want anyone to see what I'm about to speak about right now and then immediately say, holy shit, Krown just said Bitcoin's about to do what? I'm long as fuck! Like, no, we don't want that. Or at least I would suggest, look, make your own analysis, and you can look at this as kind of like entertainment right now. Okay, cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Fibonacci analysis on all of the past prior market cycles in Bitcoin's history. So let's just get into it right here. All right, so what I've done is I've essentially plotted a Fibonacci extension from all of the weekly cycles in Bitcoin's history. Starting off actually all the way back on over here in 2010. And let's just zoom in for the time being. And we can start off right here. Okay, so what I did is I took this little accumulation phase right here from about literally 10 cents all the way down to 5 tenths, or sorry, just 5 cents actually. And then I plotted a Fibonacci extension. By the way, just so you know, this is with fib levels based on log scale, which I do believe needs to be done when you are looking at, you know, very long-term price action on an asset that moves in X's rather than like percentages over a long period of time, of course, as well. Anyways, what you'll notice is whatever you notice, and I'll just point out what I've seen right here. Okay, so we have this little consolidation right here. Bitcoin breaks out on a weekly basis to the next major high. Where does that high get found around? Actually, the 3-spot extension. Okay, interesting. Remember that number. All right, we have this next one right here. We see a consolidation between about 35 cents all the way down to 18 cents. And then after Bitcoin breaks out on a new weekly high over here, where do we find the highs? Right around the three spot extension, about $1.20 or so. Same thing over here. Actually, this one is the only outlier, I should say. There is one outlier in this whole equation thus far. And I did the same thing on this little weekly reversal right here. And once Bitcoin does break the next weekly high, where does it rally up to? Actually, about the 4-spot 414 right here on a wick basis. Interesting. Just keep that one in your mind's eye. That is a bit of an outlier. Then we do the same thing over here for this little reaccumulation phase. And where's our next high at? Well, let me just plot it right here. That 3-spot extension is pretty much on the spike high of the 2013 high right here. Interesting. In April 2013, that is. Then I do the same thing for this one right here, from the high to the low. And where do we find our highs in? just a year later in 2014, the January 2014, 3-spot extension at about $982 on a weekly closing basis. Very interesting. And I do the same thing over here, right? For the 2014-2015 cycle. From the high to the low, where do we find our highs at a couple years later in January 2018? 3-spot extension at about $20,000. Very interesting, right? Okay, so you probably noticed something somewhat similar to what I've noticed thus far. Seems that a lot of these weekly new highs after breaking the prior all-time high is coming in around the 3-spot extension on the on a Fibonacci, on a log-based Fibonacci scale. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now I do the next most recent one for our most recent whole market cycle switch up right here, which was from your $20,000 high to your almost $3,100 low. And what do we see? Well, the 2-spot extension is all the way at this is what I don't feel comfortable saying. 111,000. Interesting. But we've actually never seen a high put in at the 2-spot extension. The lowest one that we saw was a 3-spot extension, and the highest one that we did see, which was only one iteration, I should say, was at the 4-spot 414, I believe it was. Anyways, the 3-spot extension right here is at one of those crazy moon boy targets that I, again, do not feel comfortable talking about. Actually, I had to lower the ceiling right here just so you can see it. It's at about $655,143.50, by the way. Getting pretty crazy right there. So a little bit out of left field, I should say. What I am a lot more interested in is actually this baby right here at the 2-spot extension at about $111,000. If we quite literally have put in a macro low right here, which I think is, I think it's a reasonable thing to be thinking, especially as long as Bitcoin's above $47,000. Again, this always comes with an invalidation. I actually do kind of like this level. The reason why I do is because it matches up with several other things, of which we've seen over here, I believe. Yes, this is it. This is it. And what is this? Bitcoin log curve zones, right? And you can kind of see a lovely relationship over here. We've gone through this a million times. Basically, Bitcoin likes to accumulate in the green zones, sort of reaccumulate in the yellow zones, top out in the red zones, and then crash all the way back down to the green zones for another reaccumulation phase. Same thing over here, 2010 to 2011. Same thing over here in the accumulation from 2012 to 2013. Same thing over here on the up phase from 2013 to 2014. And then so on and so forth from 2015, and onwards. Anyways, where's the top side of this coming in right now? Kind of around that $111,000 number, just by the way. Would be a little bit higher than that, to be fair, about $125,000 right now. Interesting. Interesting as, maybe a top end target. And of course, if we were to look at 600,000, that's not even on the fucking scale right here. So I don't know. I don't think I trust that, to be honest with you. If we're looking at it from this perspective as well, the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator has some nice colors for the visually inclined like myself. We can see, yet again, another obvious relationship right here, right? And it hasn't really worked all that well since like 2012. That's when we start to see like a more obvious relationship. And from that time, what do we see? When this indicator does start to turn yellow and green, that is kind of like the last pushes of your parabolic blow off top phases. And you can see over here, in this one, this major one in 2013, what happens when it turns green? That was when Bitcoin was essentially resolving this consolidation right here. By the way, this consolidation, which based off the 1-spot 272 extension from the prior cycle, just remember that number and keep it in mind. And then what happens after that? Once it breaks the prior high of that, it just goes on for an absolutely monstrous rally. About 600, about 500 to 600% right there, depending upon whether you use closures or wicks. Okay, interesting, right? Then again, we have the same thing going on right here. Once we start to turn yellow-green, what's Bitcoin doing? It is essentially putting in a bit of a sideways consolidation. This one a little bit more aggressive. Where is that consolidation coming in around? Well, we do see a spike low right here to the 1-spot 272, right when it turns green, or about a little bit before actually when it turns green, but kind of around the same time anyways. And then what happens after that? Bitcoin goes absolutely fucking parabolic after that. Let's see what it looks like from a percentage basis. About 500%. That sounds... Then, of course, we got the new one over here, and we just started to turn green over here. Has Bitcoin broken the prior high of this consolidation? No. Where did we bottom out at thus far? Oh, the 1-spot 272. That's interesting, isn't it? In fact, all of these cycles have seen the extension of the prior cycle based off the new cycle low. What do I mean by that? I mean that on this one over here, we base off on the 1 spot 272. On this one over here, we base off on the 1 spot 272, and then we've already done the other ones thus far. Anyways, thus far, we already did bottom out at the 1 spot 272. Interesting. And I'm just curious, what would it look like if Bitcoin were to add about 500% from that number, as crazy as that sounds? Well, you already know what 500% off of $30,000 number is right here. Well, that's going to put Bitcoin at about $200,000, or that's more like 600%. 500% puts Bitcoin at like $180,000. 600 puts Bitcoin at about $215,000. But it depends. Do you take that from the breakout of the prior high after turning green, or do you take it as soon as it turns green? Take it as soon as it turns green. It's actually going to be nope, it's still going to be about that. So maybe I do have that wrong, and actually it hasn't started just yet. And if that is the case, we'd be taking it from here on the actual breakout. And in that case, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, these numbers are getting too crazy. All right, look. Ignore all of that. I don't want to be the person talking about this kind of stuff. Again, please understand this is stuff to talk about at a very fucking boring TA idiot party. Like if you go to a party that's filled with a bunch of people like me, I don't even fucking want to talk about this shit because I spend all week talking about it. So don't bother me with this bullshit. But if you happen to go to a party where other people are attending and you want to talk about this shit, this is where you can maybe do something like that. As far as trading goes, I don't think it's reasonable or relatable, especially if you're trading, you know, like like anything within the next like few months, for example. All right, is there anything else that I want to go over here too? No, I think that is it. All right, sweet. Okay, so we got through that. Now there's one more thing that I want to get onto for long-term analysis here, and it would be this. Okay, so of course we've gone over the blue buy signature a million fucking times, but what I haven't gone over is the percentage gains after it is fired off. Now, this one's a little bit more tricky because it depends how you're going to measure this, obviously. So I'm going to do this in the most conservative way possible. What I mean by that is I'm just going to be measuring the percentage gains from your next continuous move to your next major high, not the next parabolic high after that that signal was given. I want to be erring on the conservative side here, not on the fucking aggressive side. And let's just see if we see anything that's of interest. Okay, so throughout the annals of history, what have we seen with this beautiful indicator? And by the way, I've marked off all of these blue buy signals with these vertical lines right here. Okay, cool. All right, so we get this first signal over here. Well, what happens after that? Actually, Bitcoin comes very, very close to retesting it again. But basically, well, this one's going to be very, very similar to the next one. You could say that that was about 300% move right there from that low to next major high. We get the same signal over here as well. You could say that that's about the same as well from this signal to that signal. It's 150%. You could also just as easily say that it does go continuously on as well. Anyways, both of them of interest. Even on the low end, we're seeing 150%. Just remember that number, and we're going to create a whole analysis on this. Anyways, this one over here, very, very interesting, and this one's a lot more straightforward. We see about 1100%. Not bad, and realistically, that goes on for another, you know, major, massive run, which you could say was like a total of 6,000%. Even going with the 1100%, I'd say that that's rather interesting. All right, we got this one over here, of course, as well. This one provides move about 50% almost immediately, it looks like. But as you can see, Bitcoin does eventually come back down and retest around that low, although it does not take out the prior low before that blue buy signal was given. Same thing over here as well, on a closing basis, that is. And you can see that this one does go up for about a 50% move almost as well. Now, if you do want to look at this on a weekly chart, it's going to look completely different and going to look a lot more interesting actually as well. And again, this is done on closing bases. Realistically, it should be more like a 100% move. Or if you want to go up to like the next major high, because you don't really see a reversal the whole way here until realistically this area right here, so about 250%. Anyways, moving on, we got this one right here, of course, and this one a lot more easy as well. Goes on for about 3,500%, certainly on the upper end of that. So you can see some pretty major moves from this. This one over here, again, a pretty easy one. We see on a closing base about 250%, not bad. This one over here, we get about a 50% move right there. So it does seem like on the low end, 50% is about the right number. And this is the only iteration, by the way, where we actually do come lower and close on a new low. Then that prior blue buy signal was given. Anyways, this one over here, almost immediately for a 50% move. Hey, again, on the lower end. This one over here, what do you know? What do you fucking know? About 50 to 60% move on this one. Yeah, about 50% move right there. And then, of course, the one that we got in December, which led Bitcoin all the way up almost immediately for a 130% move, and then tops out, 250% later. And then we got this one right here, right? So let's just kind of play around with numbers. Thus far, from this signal given to where we're at right now, how much has Bitcoin played up? About 23.75%. So that would be the lowest by a wide margin. I mean, the lowest that we typically see is about 50%, right? So even just playing around with that number, what would it look like if we added 50% to that level right there? 50% puts Bitcoin on new highs at $64,000 actually. Interesting, right? Let's do this a little bit more. Okay, so that was on the lower end. What do we see? And I would say on average, or if we looked at like the median of this, probably be more like around 150 to 200%. On the upper ends, I don't even want to look at those numbers because it's going to be some astronomical, and we are it's great if that happens. I don't care if it does, honestly. Again, this is for moon boy analysis, not for traders, or at least if you are trading, like you're probably thinking 10 years down the road or something like that. Anyways, if we were to take this number and put 100% on it, where'd that put Bitcoin? About $90,000. 150% puts Bitcoin at about $111,000 actually. Another one of those 111 coming up once again, and 200% puts Bitcoin at about 135. 250 puts Bitcoin at about $150,000, and all of those numbers from between about 100% to about 250% were kind of the ones that I saw popping up the most that seemed most reasonable, especially with the signal that we're looking at right here. Because if you do look at this, on the ones that didn't produce that great of a move, these were not coming within the context of weekly uptrend actually. This one right here specifically. This one right here specifically, this one right here specifically, and these prior ones over here as well. All the other ones that came within the context of a prior weekly uptrend were significantly more, more around like the 150 to 250% moves. So just saying, is that a reasonable thing to be looking for perhaps over the next few years? Maybe yes. I know that a lot of like big firms now are giving out some like beyond moon boy target. I think I saw like 10 million the other day or something like that. Look, it gets clicks. Like you have to understand, when people talk about this on YouTube, when they talk about it on the media, it's because it gets clicks for the most part, rather than it being like a rational analysis. I'm putting this out there because at least I can support it with some things that I think are somewhat interesting here, to be fair. Anyways, with that said, I think I have done this video a little bit too long already. Do we have anything else to be going over right here? No, we got that one. Do we have any more fib time zones coming up? That's a real question, actually. Put it back on this. Oh no, it's not on this chart. Let me populate this one up. Yeah, let's see what's going on over here. Just see if this is still working, or do we have any new moons? Oh, I think we have I think we got a bear moon coming up, baby. I think we got a bear moon coming up actually very soon, maybe tomorrow. See how that one does. The last bear moon did pretty much nothing except for sideways consolidation. Interesting, if you still want to play the moons, of which they've been mostly consistent over the last year, a little bit less than 90% now, with that last kind of what I would consider a failed signal right here. It's still pretty damn good, to be fair. I mean, it's like you have to be asking yourself, is my own hit rate of my current strategy better than that? If not, does it make sense to trade something like this? I don't know. Again, something to consider. I know it sounds crazy, but then again, people are saying September bad for Bitcoin. Well, we already did an analysis on that as well. 50% of the time there was no change or a positive change in price action, so that doesn't really seem to fit the narrative. And 50% of the time there was a decent downside move, somewhere between about 20 to 50%, which is certainly legitimate. But 50-50 on that is like not. I would not say a good edge, at least for myself. Again, make your own decision, obviously. But looking at this right here, we also put on a Fibonacci time extension for this. Gotta always give credit to my man, Mr. Paranoid, for this one, as it's been working incredibly well thus far. So I've essentially fitted it out from the breakout from October 2020 to where we're at on this high right here in February. Then plotted this high, or extended this high, got 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 this low, and got this. We don't really know if it's going to be a high or low just yet, but it does look like it's more of a low than a high. I mean, we just put in a little bit of a bottom right there. And we do have another one coming up a little bit later in September on the 15th. So I'm curious to see where things are at around that time, as these still have been working rather well. Anyways, with that said, I think I've spoken about enough Moon Boy stuff today. A little bit less comfortable with that sort of stuff than I usually like to be. But for right now, you know, again, this all, as always, comes with an invalidation point. And for the short-term timeframes, 49.5 is the area to be watching. Below there, I would be looking for another drive down to about 49,000 bucks. At 49,000 bucks, I would be expecting a bounce if Bitcoin is going to essentially carry it up onwards and forwards throughout the rest of this week, which I do think is more likely to happen. Now, if 49,000 bucks fails, that's going to be the next big red flag saying, hey, this is not the time, at least in my opinion, to be looking for the derp. I would be cognizant that Bitcoin probably does come down and test around 47 to 47,500 at that point. If that area does fail and Bitcoin actually comes back down and takes up the last higher low right here, I will switch around to be bearish. Do I think that's what's going to happen? No. But if that does happen, that is what I'd essentially do. I'd be looking for price action back down somewhere around about 42.5 to 43,000 bucks later this month, maybe early in October. But with that said, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this lovely little Saturday morning. I'm gonna be signing off now. Thanks again, and until next time.